Evening everyone and welcome back to the channel. So tonight I'm going to be doing video 3 of 5 which is the best guitar apps that you can get for the Apple iPad. So I've already covered in the last video Line6 POD Mobile and the one before that, which was number 5 in my least favourite app, which was Amplitube. So check out those videos. So number 3, or I think the third best guitar app that you can get for the iPad is this, the GarageBand Guitar Amp, which actually comes with GarageBand. So before I start, a few people have been asking how I actually set up these videos. So I've got my iPad. This is one of the older Lightning port iPads. So that's connected to my PreSonus Audio Box i1. So that basically goes from the Lightning port to the back of the Audio Box i1, and then that also has got a USB charger to charge up the USB interface. Input 1 is my mic, which I've got plugged into the mic input, and input 2 is my guitar. So hopefully you can hear both my voice and the guitar. What I will say is you may be able to also hear the sort of the clean sound of the guitar, as well as the sound coming through the virtual amp. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Sorry if it does cause an issue. So anyway, video 3, GarageBand Guitar Amp. So here we are. And yeah, I mean, positive things to start off with, I guess. So first of all, this is the only app in the top 5 that I've done, which is both free and it comes with all of the features free as well. So I mean, there are other free versions of the other apps, but you don't get all the features. But we'll come to those later on. But yeah, so you know, this is, if you've got an iPad and you've got GarageBand, I guess this is the quickest route that you've got to getting some guitar tones down. So that's the first plus, you know, the accessibility and also the price. Now, I guess the other positive thing about this is the integration with GarageBand. You know, it's actually part of GarageBand. So unlike some of the other apps, you don't have to sort of go to, if I can find it, you know, external inter-app audio and then, you know, select the other apps. With this, the app is actually part of GarageBand, which is convenient. And actually, when you're recording things, the workflow, I think, you know, is a lot easier. So anyway, yeah. So nice interface as well as you go into it. Let's just get stuck in. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just going to set up my guitar first of all. Get the monitor turned on so you can hear stuff. And yeah, sticking on the positives. So, you know, as I said before, you know, you've got a variety of presets on this clean, crunchy, distorted process. You've also got, you know, a way to save your own custom patches. I haven't came across any limits with this. Yeah, I mean, in one of the videos that I'm going to do, which is the Moa virtual guitar amp, you know, you're limited to basically one user preset on the free version. So that's the way that they make their money. But anyway, I don't think it's unlimited, but you know, there's no real limits that I've came across. You know, you've got a variety. Let's just have a look at the guitar amps. You've got a variety of guitar amps. You know, you got Marshall. That looks like it's a Mesa Boogie. That looks like it's a whatever that is. Another Marshall, an orange. Guess a Fender. And then you've got like DIs, and you've got bass as well. So you're covered with the bass. Lots of variety. And then also with the effects, I mean, you know, this hasn't got as many effects as some of the other guitar apps, but the effects that are there, I think, are really good. You know, you've got, let's start with the distortions. You know, you've got this, which I love, which is the sort of treble booster, which has got like a number of different settings. And then you've got a kind of, I guess that's the tube screamer kind of overdrive effect. You've also got a fuzz in there, which is great. You know, modulation, you've got a phaser, you've got a flanger, you've got a like kind of an auto wah. What else have we got? We've got a chorus as well. And then on top of that, we've got things like a compressor and an echo as well. So, you know, and I like the way that, I like the layout of this. You know, I like the way they've got the pedals easily accessible. You know, I'm not so sure if you would get much use out of the wah, but it's there. You know, the compressor is really good. Yeah, so I think it's very immediate GarageBand Guitar Amp. And I'll just take you through a few of my presets that I've set up. Crashed us out of the app. That actually doesn't happen very often, promise. So let's just go into some of my presets. So kind of half boost, which is go for the Brian May thing there. And by the way, this is on my sort of single coil Strat. Just to give you an idea, Fender Player Stratocaster. Let's have a look at a few more. This is more of a clean. And then we've got stuff like this. Using the sort of the treble boost at a good effect. And then we've got a lead 2. Bit more boost, bit more modulation on there. With a phaser. Lots of fun with that. Let's have a look at this one. Sunset Drive, which is like a kind of a more stock in your face. Kind of tube screamer drive. And then this thing. More of an aggressive drive. You know, as I said before, I'm not going to get too much into it, but you know, the kind of the sky's the limit here. You know, these are the clean. Sorry about that noise. That's just my power supply. Oh. There you go. Oh. It's really not going away, that is it. Anyway, so there you go. So there's a plethora of tones. I mean, and you can see by these tone collection things that, you know, more tones are getting updated all the time, really. Clean, crunchy, distorted, processed. Let's have a look at some of these maybe. that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Terabytes. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? It's not that interesting. Spy tremolo. Lovely. Cold fusion. I didn't mention the vibe, so yeah, there's the kind of univibe effect. And what I will say is, you know, when I've been comparing these 5 guitar apps, what I was going to say in the sort of negative box for this GarageBand guitar amp is I didn't think the tones were that good, but you know, now listening to it again, I think the tones are okay. You know, I think it's still number 3 in the list, but yeah, coming back to GarageBand guitar amp, I think the tones are great. Anyway, right, I'm going to get lost here because I'm starting to have quite a bit of fun with this. Yeah, so let's just pull that back again. Get back to this kind of stuff. Yeah, nice. So, anyway, going back, let's put it on this. Right, there goes our pop again. Anyway, yeah, so that's the positives. You know, it's accessible. The tones are great. Well, tones are good. I wouldn't say great because I think, you know, the next two, the number 2 and the number 1 in this list, I think they have got great tones. This has got decent tones. I think it's got a good variety of tones. You know, accessible, and you know, this is the only one that's free with all of the features. This is the most accessible. Right, so now on to the negatives, right? So I think something obvious, first of all, is it's the controls on the amps and, you know, to a lesser degree, the effects. Now, you know, I would like it to display the numbers. You know, these are the sort of, you know, I like how they've gone for the amp sort of display in the traditional knobs, but sometimes it's very difficult to see where you are with them. Like a better example is probably if we switch over to one of these, you know, on the Fenders. Unless you've got your glasses on, which I've got my glasses on, it's hard to read. If we go for the Marshall, that's a bit easier to read. That's a little bit easier to read. But this, it's getting harder. And, you know, that's just, yeah. I mean, you know, and something like, you know, the Line6 POD Mobile, you know, you had the numbers just flash up in both. I think that was good. Even though I prefer this interface, I think a good update would be just to a clearer representation of where you are with these dials. Like I say, less so on the effects, but I just don't like that about them. Another minus maybe is the kind of the lack of effects. You get one delay in there. I mean, maybe that's all you need. I mean, it is quite a sort of well-judged array of effects. I think it's just the other apps are maybe a bit more. You've got a few more options in the other apps. Put it that way. Is this a negative? I'm not sure. Some people might like the fact that you've got less to play with. You know, it's more focused. Other people, they might just want more effects. Horses for courses. Now, something that really does bug me about this is, say for example, if I'm on, I'll try one of my delay effects. Now, this bugs me. So, if you notice, there's delay on there, and in fact, this patch is called Lush Delay, but I haven't actually used a delay. I've got a chorus on there, but where's the delay coming from? Now, this is hidden. So if you go to the track and you go to plugins and EQ, you can see that the tape delay has actually been added on in the mixer, along with a bit of EQ and a noise gate. Now, some people will like that because that actually gives a few more options. But I'm not so sure. I think it's a little bit confusing, first of all. And I just wish that they had have just included more things in here, like an EQ, so you could just you could orchestrate everything through the guitar amp, rather than orchestrate it through the guitar amp and then have plugins as well to deal with. I don't like that. I think it's a bit disjointed and a little bit confusing. So yeah, I don't like that. The other downside is, I think a lot of people are not going to be that impressed with the tones. I've came up with some decent kind of, like lead tone. And then you can like mess up that with, this treble bus really good. Sound together, you've got that. But if I was doing that, I would want to just scrap the tape delay, and I would want to and you see, it is a bit clunky, I think, and that put in the delay. Get the time a bit longer, get the repeats a bit longer. See, I think that's much nicer delay sound. So you've got tone cuts. Let's have it off. You've got a sync in there as well. So but then of course you're messing about with the amp. Maybe I want a Fender amp for this. But that just sounds a bit muddy to me, so I don't know. Fender amp, I'm just expecting more sort of oomph from the guitar amps. I guess I don't think it's the fault of the effects. I don't like the way the effects are split between the mixer and the effects pedals, but maybe the fault of this amp is the actual guitar amps. Let's go to some other clean presets, for example, Auditorium Clean. See, that's nice. To me, it's got a kind of a low fidelity feel to it. To me, it sounds like nothing's really punching through that well. Certainly compared to, the next two amps, guitar amps in the list. So stay tuned for those. I've got the number 2 spot and the number 1 spot still to do. If you haven't seen this video series so far, it's the top 5 guitar apps for iPad. Number 5 was Amplitube, IK Multimedia. Number 4 was Line6 POD Mobile. Number 3 is this. and number 2 and number 1's a toss-up between, well, I'll show you what it is, a toss-up between. It's a toss-up between GE Labs by Moore and Bias Effects 2. So stay tuned for that. I'm not going to reveal anything yet, so let's get back into this. Put that back on. So yeah, if you want to get, I think, just to sum up then, you know, if you want to get started with recording in GarageBand for iPad, this is going to be your lowest barrier to entry. You know, it's free. You've got all the amps, you've got all the effects you're probably going to need. It's the easiest way to record on GarageBand. I didn't actually show you that, but you know, with this, because it's actually integrated with GarageBand, it's literally, you just click the play button. And that's it, you're done. I mean, I'm not going to mess about too much with this, but yeah, there you go. It's recorded at the bottom there. So, you know, it's tightly integrated with GarageBand, much more tightly than all of the rest of the apps. So, yeah. Yeah, downside's probably not as flexible as most. Well, it's probably not as flexible as all of the other apps. It's definitely not as flexible as the other apps. They've got more amps. They've got more effects. Although I will say, you know, what's there is fine. I think the biggest downside to this is the amps, and to a lesser degree, the effects are a bit rough sounding, I think. They're okay. You know, they're about 6 on 10 for tone. Is it the worst sounding of the 5 amps? Yeah, I think it is. I think it probably is the worst sounding. It's just because it has got a lot of sort of pluses to it. I think it puts it in the number 3 spot. You know, some people, the tones on this will do just fine. And you've got the extra conveniences. Whereas, you know, something like Amplitube, you know, that has got some better tones on that, maybe, but it's the reverb ruins it, and it's just a harder workflow, and it's expensive. So yeah, horses for courses. In my opinion, this is the 3rd best guitar app for the Apple iPad. There you go. I've said it. So yeah, I'm starting to waffle a bit. So hope you enjoyed the video. You know, please like and subscribe if you can, if you feel like it, and check out the next in the series, which I'm not going to tell you, but it's a toss-up between more GE Labs and Bias Effects 2. Catch you later.